friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 150. Today is March 28th, 2025. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is a gorgeous spring day here in Chapel Hill. You can see the sun is shining if you look out the window behind me. Our cherry tree is in full blossom. I will possibly stick a picture in here if I think of it. The bees are active. We've seen bees and heard them. The weeds are active, very active. My husband has been doing some weeding. I said to him a few years ago, this place needs to be weeded and I can't do it. So we need to hire somebody to do the weeding, and he's doing it instead. So thank you, Byron. Yes, so yesterday I posted a galloping horse video on this channel that my friend Cindy and I put together. And we are just amazed that it has been 6 months, but I hope if you have any interest in quilting or in seeing two people goof off together, you should watch that video. And for those of you who came to this one because you're interested in quilting and then you discovered there's a Flosstube connected, thanks for joining me today. So anyway, Flosstube does mean cross stitch, primarily, things that have to do with embroidery floss. And variety show means something else, and we'll see what that turns out to be later in the video. So I'm going to start by triumphantly and frustratingly telling you I finished Nancy Cook. And I'm not going to bother showing you the page that shows what it's supposed to look like, because this is pretty much what it's supposed to look like. And you may see that I've basted around the edge different distances, and I pulled some threads. My plan is to do a hem, which will be fine on the sides, but I misunderstood the directions and I cut my corners too close. So I haven't decided how I'm going to deal with the fact that I won't have beautiful mitered corners. I may just say, you know what, Nancy Cook made so many little quirky errors in this. My failure to do my corners correctly is not the end of the world. And you know, I rarely think that anything is the end of the world, so probably. So I'm going to at least do the hemming and do something with the corners. Keep them from fraying in some way. And then I had thought of backing it with a piece of muslin and just rolling it up, or backing it maybe with a piece of fabric, a blue gingham type, or some sort of simple fabric, and making a roll of it. But you know, it is quite nice. It really is. I enjoyed working on it, despite all its quirks. Now, one of the things I'm going to list in the description field, which I'm not showing you as a stitching item yet, is Jane Boyer 1831, which is the small Jane Boyer sampler. I'll put a picture here of the antique. That is by the stitcher who did the 1834 sampler that I stitched. Was it just last year? Wow. And that my friend Leslie charted. That's in both of these are in the collection of the LeRoy Historical Society in LeRoy, New York, which is where Jane Boyer lived. And speaking of quirkiness, Jane Boyer did a beautiful job stitching her sampler when she was 10, but when she was 7, she was not as careful. But I have not taken the meticulous effort to chart the 7-year-old sampler with the mistakes. I'm charting it the way she was supposed to have stitched it, by and large, because, so this Nancy Cook sampler is, all of the mistakes are charted very carefully, so that we can recreate sampler with the mistakes, and I have done that to the best of my ability. I don't know that Leslie or I feel that that's the goal of the Jane Boyer 1831, her little 7-year-old effort. So when that is eventually available through the LeRoy Historical Society, I think it's going to be as she should have stitched it, with some commentary about mistakes that she made, which I will have to write. Anyway, it's a cute little sampler. It's actually not that small. It's something like 154 by 140. So it's not tiny at all. But it's, you know, nice little 7-year-old effort. About stitching, so in addition to Nancy Cook, I spent quite a bit of time working on getting the hem stitch, getting myself ready to hem stitch it. And in my description field, I've put a link to, or a mention of 2 videos where I learned about how to do this. I have done hem stitching in the past. Some years ago I did it. Just simple hem stitching. So I sort of remember how to do it, but I'm still referring to videos. I worked a little bit on Martha Miller, 1858. This is by Running with Needles and Scissors, Sylvia Stecker. Sylvia is, she has the distinction of being one of only 2 designers that were mentioned by Nicola Parkman in her video last week that had Nashville releases. And the little Nashville item that Nicola showed of Sylvia's, it's very pretty. I can't remember the name of it, but congratulations, Sylvia, and I'm sure she doesn't watch my videos. Why am I even saying that? But that's great that she was mentioned by Nicola Parkman. So I did work a little more on this. I'm still working up there and at fairly large. It's sort of a, you know, what is it? In 1858, what does that represent? It's, here, it's this one. So it's some sort of a basket with what would look like fruit, except they're purple. So are they flowers? And it's on a stand. It's sort of a bouquet of flowers, perhaps. Maybe peonies. Let's say they're peonies. Not that peonies are exactly purple, but in this area, the peonies are definitely poking up out of the ground. We have spring going on here. But the colors are so bright. I'm enjoying this. This is 16 count Aida Hogbristle by Fox and Rabbit. It's a nice sampler color. I have quite a bit more of it, which is good. Now, a few videos ago, I made some comment about threatening to start a bunch of things that I have kitted. So I started another one. This is Old Willow Stitchery, a Robin Laukoff. The Royal Thistle Sampler and Accessories, and this was an exclusive through the Homespun Needlework Cross Stitch Group and Hobby House Needleworks. And I got it on 46 count. This is Hemingway by Needle and Flax. And I have a fat quarter of it, and believe me, I'm gonna have a lot left over, which is great because it's a pretty, you know, sort of a medium modeled fabric. And this is my start. Now, I'm doing it with 103s. And those little eyelets, so those are eyelets over 8 threads. And the chart shows them as just having 4 or 8 arms, you know, just going in the normal directions. And here's the instructions for it. I mean, that's how eyelets are. If you have an instruction, a numbered stitching pathway. But if you really scrutinize, and I have to really scrutinize the picture, I decided that they didn't have just 8 strokes, they had 16 strokes. Is that right? Yes. So that's how I'm stitching them. And it's not, the chart doesn't say to do that. I am just sort of looking at the picture of the sampler, which is not a super picture. You know, it's kind of far away. It doesn't have a lot of detail. And deciding that that's what it looks like. I did the first one with just the 8 strokes, and it just didn't look like what the picture shows. So that's what I'm doing. And this has purples and teals in it. Gold, those are the main colors. Oh, I have the threads here somewhere. Yeah, it's a pretty group of threads. And so I think this is going to stitch up very quickly, by the way. I think it's 97 stitches wide. The pattern says it's 105, but it is not 105. That is this little design size. It says it's 105 by 124. It's not 105, and I haven't checked to see if I think it's 124. But there's several specialty stitches in it. There's cross stitch over 2, there's long stitch, there's rice stitch, there's this Bargello, which is sort of a satin stitch variant. There's queen stitches, so it's kind of interesting from that standpoint. And in these accessories that are here, there's some other specialty stitches, including nun stitch, and that may be all. But I might stitch the accessories, though I might not use the 46 count fabric because they would be quite small. I think that the plan was for them to be on 36 count fabric, and 46 would make them pretty small. So what does it say? And also, I will say this, and no offense to Robin, yeah, the dimensions are for 36 count. It is very hard to write good directions. It really is. I know that it is because I've tried to do it for how to play a game and things like that. It's a particular type of technical writing, which is challenging. So I'm not saying that, you know, she's really been a slacker in how she's written her directions, but they're not as perfect as one could wish. If you've never done a particular thing, then it's not going to be easy to figure out how to do it from some of her directions. So thankfully we have the internet and we have other stitchers who can give advice, and I can get in touch with Robin. She did respond on the Homespun Needlework Facebook group when I asked, what is this fabric? Because there was no indication in the pattern or in my order what exact fabric it was, and that's how I learned that it's Needle and Flax Hemingway. But that I think will work up quickly, and it will be fun to do, and I might do some of the accessories also, because they are also interesting to look at. And, you know, it's nice to have a few smalls to throw into some big samplers. I worked a little bit on little Bertram Savile Ogle. This is from the All Things Bright and Beautiful red box from Hands Across the Sea. I'm doing this on 46 count Latte with the called for 103s, and I carried the border farther along on the top, and I added in a few more motifs. This is fun, and it's going to be a fun little sampler. So let's see, I have 7. I believe that there are 9 of these key units, and then the cornerstone. So that's how big it's going to be, about out to here. And it's pretty much square. I don't think it's exactly square. I don't see here the number of stitches, but this is good. I don't know. Anyway, 46 count. 103s on 46 count is a very good combination. Little Bertram. I call it Little Bert. Little Bert. Or as Sean refers to Charlotte Warrington as Lottie, I could call it Bertie. And I have been working a bit on Jane Thompson, 1838. This is Scarlet House. This was also an exclusive through the Homespun Needlework. So, yeah. It's now available, though, so you can get it. And this is 36 count Sleeping Bear by maybe Needle and Flax also. And I put some more flowers in the border over on this side, and I started this tree thing. And I really wanted to have worked more on this, but I've had a busy week, and I spent quite a bit of time on Nancy Cook trying to figure her out. But it's so pretty. The border is so pretty. And I'm about to get into all the motifs at the bottom, which include that house. It's a substantial house. Looking forward to getting down there. Some odd little birds. Fruit basket, some flowers in urns. It's very pretty. And it's interesting that it's called an adaptation, and I don't know why. I wish someone who has seen the antique could tell me why, what about it is adapted. One thing that I wonder is whether the verse originally was over 1, and that the Scarlet House recharted it to make it not over 1. That would be very reasonable, I think. So this is another chart from the All Things Bright and Beautiful box. This is, trying to get the glare off it, Jenny Ormiston. Quite unusual in that it's on that very dark fabric. The model is stitched on Fox and Rabbit Black Swan, which I've tried to get. Can't get it. I'm sure I could get it if I waited. And why didn't I wait? Because it isn't as if I have nothing to stitch. But I went ahead and bought a piece of charcoal gray Zweigart linen. And this is just Zweigart's color. That is, it's not overdyed. It's their manufactured gray. And I think it's a nice gray. And I think it'll be great for this little sampler. This isn't very big. This is 36 count, as I said. It will be 6.5 by 10 3/4 on that. So, and all these bright, I mean, intense colors. I think that will be striking to work on. So I'm going to work on that at some point. And that will not round out all the things I plan to work on. But I'm still trying to maintain the fact that my priority, I have a few priorities for the year. One is to be ready for the event in Swindon, which is in October. And I have Jane Greenoff, the Hussif to work on, which I haven't worked on in several weeks. I probably should get that out this week. And a smaller item by Ray Niles to work on for those. Those two things I have. And Nancy Cook was ostensibly, it was sort of pre-homework, which we may or may not actually do much with at the event, but it was fun to work on it, knowing that others were also doing it. So those are priorities. Working on Margaret Hutton, I need to get myself down to the Queen Stitch area so that I can use Nicola's video before I run out of my authority to view it, which will end at the end of April, to review how to do the Queen Stitch. Although I think I know how to do it. We learned it in the workshop last year. And there are some other videos online about how to do it. Not Nicola's videos, but others. And there's a very good stitch diagram, and I know what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So I think it's actually not going to be terrible if I don't stitch queen stitches before the end of April. But I intend to try to make my way to that section of that sampler. And I would like to finish Jane Thompson this year. Again, that is a massive house, a lot of stitching in that house. So, oh, and did I mention Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather? Well, that too. I'm not going to show you that this week. I did stitch on it, about 500 and something stitches, but you know, a bunch of gray, it's hard to see. So, variety show. I am going to tell you a little bit of craziness that happened Wednesday night. So our church has an active youth group. My son was in the youth group. In fact, I was a youth helper when he was in middle school and high school. And the youth group they do an annual summer mission trip. When Scott was in school, that was actually every other year, and they went to Brazil the 2 times he had the chance to go in high school. And it was, I mean, an excellent thing. They helped out at a children's school camp kind of situation in Brazil in a very impoverished area, and they built some structures for the school, and they met the kids and labored, and it was fun. I think it was fun, and it was probably formative for him. Lately, the youth have been going as part of a group of churches that all send their youth together to more local places here on the East Coast to do a VBS camp and to maybe help out with some project at the host church or in the community. And so this year they're going to Wilmington to do a VBS camp for the community that they're connecting with down there. So Wednesday night they had a Bacon and Bids event, which was a pancake supper with bacon and pancakes and scrambled eggs and fruit and orange juice and coffee and so forth. And an auction. And they had an auctioneer, a friend of one of the admins who was in charge. And people donated things for the auction, and it was a very fun night. The bidding was fun, and the items for auction were good items, and I did participate. So first of all, I think the first thing I bought, no, the second thing I bought. The first thing I bought I'm going to tell you about last. So the second thing I bid on was a group of antique miniature teacups. Now, Leslie and Cindy know that I do not need any antique hand-painted teacups because I have them that my own great-grandmother or some relative of that in that generation, or maybe my grandmother, painted, because it was a thing. It was how people, now we have the, you all go together and you drink wine and paint pottery. Well, now, back then it was you paint china teacups, porcelain, fine china teacups. And I bid on it because it was clear that nobody wanted them, and it was going to go down to $5, and this elderly gentleman had donated these that his own grandmother painted, and I thought, I just cannot have this, for the sake of a youth auction benefit, go for $5. And so I bid, and I got for $30. I mean, they're not beautiful. That one isn't beautiful. And it says on the back, souvenir of Norwich, Connecticut. I mean, interesting. What was so special about Norwich, Connecticut back in the late 19th century, I would guess. This is an interesting little shape. And the inside it was painted. I think it needs a little washing, but it's interesting. Here's another one. I mean, there's another one over there. I just didn't bring it all. But this one is attached. So I don't know what this is. But this little cup is attached to the saucer. And my thought on these, and one of the reasons that I got them, is because I could make them into tiny little pin cushions. I've wanted to do that with some of my own china, my mother's china. I mentioned that in a video of some months ago. I haven't gotten around to it, but I'm a little nervous about doing it to that because that actually means something to me. This doesn't mean anything to me particularly, so it would be a great thing to practice on. So I may do that because I have so much free time. So another thing I bid on, and this was something that I had a meeting immediately following the auction, and I was concerned that I was going to miss the bidding on this particular thing because I knew it would be close to the end. This is Private Chef, Argentinian style, for $8. And it says, I'm going to read you the little blurb. So this is Martin, our college minister. He's Korean by heritage, and he lived in Argentina. I think he was born in Argentina. Anyway, he's our college minister. It says, time to plan your next dinner party. This coupon is redeemable for an authentic Argentinian dinner cooked and grilled by Martin Shin. Martin will provide his skills in preparing meats, fresh empanadas, and sides while you provide groceries for the meal. And I told Byron, if I have to go to the meeting before that comes up, I want you to bid up to $400 for it. And you may think, oh my goodness, $400 for a private chef. That seems like it's an awful lot of money for one meal, especially if you have to provide the groceries yourself. I mean, I want you to, by the way, look at the size of those ribs that he's working on there. I hope that I can get some of those. But it's for the youth. So it doesn't really, I mean, I won't say it doesn't matter what it costs, but the point is not, in that kind of a context, the point is not to get a bargain. So the bidding opened, and it opened at $100, and it quickly was up to $200. And I ended up bidding $240, and to my surprise, everybody dropped out. So I got it for $240, which is great. And I'm going to call up Martine and say, I know it says for $8. Would you do it for $9? Because my bridge club is 9 people, and I would like to invite them. I don't know who I would exclude. So there was that. And then, in a sense, I did this so there were 150 to 200 people in the room. So it isn't as if there were probably 80 bidding numbers given out, I would guess. Certainly I know that somebody with a number of 62 was bidding. I think it was 62. So I don't know. I don't really know how many people were bidding, but I thought it would be, anyway, I bid on this. So J.W. Ruff is a pastoral resident at our church. And I'm going to read this little description of who he is. A seasoned basketball expert with over 20 years in the game as a basketball camps and clinics person and shooting coach for the Detroit Pistons. JW was part of their 2003-2004 NBA championship run. He has a championship ring from that. Having played and coached at both the high school and college levels, he brings championship experience to every session. And I bid on and won a shooting masterclass, basketball shooting masterclass. And this is so funny. I want you to realize that I'm a short, overweight, older woman. Okay? All of those descriptors should make you amused to hear this and picture me doing this. In this exclusive training, you'll learn elite shooting fundamentals and receive a customized shooting workout to continue your development after the session. Whether you're a beginner or looking to refine your shot, this masterclass will provide the tools to take your game to the next level. I mean, that's just hilarious. But I bid on it, and I got it. And I'm about 55% likely to do this myself. But if I learn of a teenager, a girl or boy, who's really interested in basketball and who would love to be coached in improving their basketball shot, I'm going to give this to that person, because I am not the target audience for that thing. And the bidding was pretty robust, up to around $140. I think it slowed down. I bid $140, and then after some cajoling by the auctioneer, somebody bid $150, and then I bid $160, and then it ended there. And do I need basketball shooting coaching? No, I don't. But JW is a great guy. It would be very fun to do it myself. And yeah, it would be fun. Byron's comment was, you should do that, and then you will have more sympathy with the players who can't make their free throws. Okay. But of course, I'm 67 years old. No, I'm not. I'm 66 years old. The players who can't make their free throws are 50 years younger than I am. They should, and they're much taller. They're 50 years younger and at least a foot taller than I am, so they should not have any trouble. Okay, so that's the main things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit about the upcoming schedule. There is I would say 60% chance that I will not make a video next week. I have a lot of things going on during the week, and there's some things that I want to try to get to that would cut into my stitching time. So if I decide soon that I'm not going to do a video, that would give me a little more flexibility in how I plan my time, not just on the day of the video, but sort of how I spend my evenings and so on to I just think it might be wiser. I know that my work week next week will be much busier than this work week has been, because I'm starting a new project in this case, with the business office rather than the facilities. So I'm pretty sure I'll be working a number of hours next week. And I think I want the freedom to possibly not do a lot of cross-stitching, and therefore to not have any pressure of thinking I have to produce a video that will be of any interest to anyone. So I think you should, watch this space. There might be a video. Things might turn out different next week than I expect them to, but possibly not. If you are not subscribed, it would be good to subscribe and to ring the little notification bell so that you will know if I made a video or not. I think I think it benefits me if I have subscribers. I don't really care, personally. You don't hurt my feelings by not subscribing. But somehow it does matter to YouTube. But for your sake, if you want to know that I, or any of the people that you watch, have put up a video, it's good to subscribe and click the little bell icon. So that's just a thought. I am going to pick this stuff up and put it away and get on to a few of the things that I've had in mind to do. And probably this evening I'll pick up some more stitching, and I think this coming week I will work on, or a couple weeks, I'll work on the Jane Greenoff project. I should try to make some serious project progress on that. And I will definitely show you under the roof of new Ionian weather. Wow. Under the roof of blue Ionian weather, whenever the next video happens. And I'll probably pull out Margaret Hutton again because I want to keep moving on that and get to those queen stitches if I can. Other than that, you know, I'll just pick up whatever comes to mind, whatever falls under my gaze. I hope that you are going to have a great stitching week, that you've been having a good time with your stitching or whatever projects you're doing, or spring cleaning, or whatever exciting things are happening in that front. I enjoy getting together with you, and I look forward to the next time I make a video, which might be next week, might be in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for watching, and many blessings to you, friends.